Okay, welcome back to Guide to Solidworks. Now today we're going to look at this Model Mania 2020 tutorial. So we're going to have a go at modelling this first. We'll follow the patterns in terms of creating the centerpiece, then creating one of the external legs with the counterbore through the outside, and then pattern that around to create all three pieces. We'll then need to put in the fillet at the sides and the small 1mm fillet radius around the outer edge. Once we've created our first model, we're then going to modify that model and run a simulation on it at the end. So let's jump straight into this and we'll get modelling. Okay, so I'm going to pick the top plane and I'm going to start with a sketch on that top plane. Now, on that sketch, I'm going to put two circles, starting from my origin, and I'm going to dimension them up to 22, and 16. With them two circles in, I'm going to take a centre line coming out at a horizontal line across, and from there I'm going to bring that out to 70. Sorry, it's going to be 70 diameter, so it'll be 35 out from the centre. Now on that end point, I am going to put a circle. I'm just checking the size on that. The circle size here is going to be a 6mm radius. So we've created this length out to here, and we're looking at 6mm radius for this circle on the end. So if it's a radius, when I dimension it up, I'll get a dimension, so I need to make that 12. Now from here, I'm going to put two lines in, coming across, that are at a tangent to this circle. So if I click the line, click onto the circle, hold the mouse and drag it away, and it'll create a tangent relationship. Drag it along until I'm on line with the origin and just drop it there. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Create that tangential relationship, drag it along and drop it on line with my origin. I'm going to put a line between them two endpoints. And then with that line that I've connected there, I'm going to click the line, click the origin, and I'm going to make that a midpoint relationship. Okay, so what that will allow me to do is, if I modify one side, the other side will move in by exactly the same amount. So what I want to do is put a dimension across there of an angle, across them two lines. I want to set that to 22 degrees. And as you'll see there, both sides are dragged in, with this line having a midpoint relationship. Okay, so now we've got that sketch in at the bottom, I am going to come out of that sketch, and on the front plane, going through that sketch, I am going to draw in a line up from the edge here and a centre line up the middle here. So I'll start the centre line up the middle, doesn't matter how high, just going to drop that in there, and I want another construction line in on the edge here. Okay, like so. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pierce one end to the outside of this last sketch we created, this circle, this last sketch. I'm going to set the height of this line to 6mm, and I'm going to draw a line in here from the top point across to the centre line that I've created, just at an angle. Now we need to know that radius in there, So the radius, if we pop back to the drawing, in here is 112. So back onto the model, 112 around there. So my dimension tool, click my center line, click that line I've created and set it to 112. Ooh. Let's try that one again. Okay, and we've got that angle in there now. What I'm going to do with that line is using the surface tool. If you've not got that on your tabs, if you just right click on any tab and find the surface tool there, using the surface tool, I'm just going to revolve the surface on that line, using my center line to go around. Okay, so once I've got that in place, what I want to do is extrude this shape that I've created up to this surface. So I'm going to go to Sketch 1, and I'm going to Features and Extrude, and I'm going to have to select some contours now. So our contour box at the bottom should be clear. If it's not, just clear that out. And I'm going to select that circle, that circular edge, that circle in there, and these two features here. Now, in my options for the direction of my extrude, I'm going to go up to surface. I'm going to select this surface that I've created here and tick there. Okay, now I'm not going to need that surface again for now, so I'm going to hide that surface and get rid of it from my model. I'm going to need to use this sketch again, however, so if I go into my extrude, click on the sketch and extrude again, and this time I'm looking at the contours for the two circles I've created at the bottom, and I'm going to extrude them up to 22, like so. Okay, so what that's given me is the center hub on one leg of the model that we're creating. I need to create two more, but I also need the counterbore hole in the end here. So let's do the counterbore hole first. So I'm going to go up to the top in my features and I'm going to go to Hole Wizard. Now I want to make sure that the counterbore option is selected. I need to make sure my standards that I'm in a metric standard, and my option that I'm going to be using is a socket head cap screw. So I'm going to click on that. I'm using a 4mm size, so an M4 sized cap screw, and once I've got all them selected, I'm going to come up to the top again and I'm going to go to Position. Now if I click this face, it's going to put my counterbore on an angle where I want it flat. So I'm going to click this top flat face first. So it's got a relationship to that flat face. I'm going to drag it out like so. Okay, now at the moment it's not in any sort of position, I've just dragged it along. I'm going to make the center point of my counterbore and my origin in relationship to each other. So let's turn that so we're straight on. So find the center of my origin and my counterbore. I'm going to make a horizontal relationship between them two. And then from my origin to the center of my counterbore, I'm going to create a distance offset of 35, which will put it exactly where I want it. Now we're going to tick that off, and I'm going to come out of there, and you will see what we end up with is just a single small hole through, not including the counterbore top on it. So we're going to have to edit that so we can include that counterbore. Now if I come into my counterbore in my design tree here at the side, drop down the menu there, and I'm after the sketch shape for the counterbore, which is sketch 4 in this case. I'm going to edit that sketch. Now coming into here, I've got this top section of my counterbore coming down 4mm. If I delete that dimension delete that dimension. There we go. Now what I actually want is it coming up from the bottom 4 mil. So I'm going to click from this bottom line here up to that line there. I'm going to set that distance at 4. And now you'll see how it's cutting down into the material. So if I exit the sketch now, you'll get our counterbore shape that we're after. Okay. Now we've got that in place, what we can do is we can pattern this around. So I'm going to go to circular pattern. I'm going to click on the features that I've created here. So the extrude and the counterbore, and I'm going to pattern that around that circular direction there. Okay, so the circular direction in the centre of my hub. Tick at the top, and I should get my 3 legs now. Okay, so I need to put a chamfer in at the side. The chamfer here at the side is 22 mil. Sorry, not chamfer, fillet. So the fillet at the side here is 22 mil. So I'm going to go to the fillet tool. I'm going to click the outside edge. I will get some options up here at the top. I'm looking for the one that best suits what I'm after as a prediction of what it wants me to do. So it's this third one along here, which is going to mirror. It's going to select the 3 sides there for me. Now, I don't want it to be 10 mil. I want it to be 22. So I'm just going to change that radius to 22. And that will give me my 22 mil radius fillet in there. Tick, and we've generally got the shape that we want now. We just need to put an outer fillet on this edge. So if I click this outside edge here and use the fillet tool, now in this case this fillet is going to be 1 mil. So I'm going to change my radius to 1 millimeter and just tick there, and that finishes off that. For the sake of the model, I'm going to set the material now. So it gives me a material of plain carbon steel. And just so that the edges of the fillet show up, I'm going to set my fillet to there, to an appearance. And I'm going to change the fillet appearance to red. In the side options here, and you'll see that fillet comes up in red there, and tick. Now the only other thing, if we just look quickly back at the drawing, the only other bit we're missing is this fillet on the inside edge here. So I'm just going to add that in, right click there, edit that, and also click that line, and then we've got all of our fillets in. Okay, so that is our phase 1 model. So at that point now we have finished phase 1, and we are going to look at moving on to the modifications for phase 2. Right, so in phase 2 what we're going to do is we're going to look at modifying this angle between these two. So it's going to go from 22 degrees to 8 degrees. And then we're also going to put a shell in each of these faces, which allows us then to have a 3 mil offset from the side faces there. We're going to change the radius in these corners to 30 from 22, and then we'll run a simulation on the final model. We'll have to have a bit of a fiddle around with some of the fillets as well, so that we've got some fillets in all of these faces. We'll have a look at that. Okay, so let's have a look, and let's have a go at modelling it. Okay, so back to our phase 1 model. We're going to edit this to suit the needs for phase 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is take in my blue bar at the side. I'm going to roll this back all the way back to my first extrusion here, this one here, and from that I am going to create a 8 mil radius in this corner here. So let's edit that sketch. So we've got 22 mil as our radius or our angle here. I'm going to turn this to 8 mil or 8 as our angle, should I say. And you'll see that pulls it now in a bit, so it's a bit narrower than it was originally. Tick there, and tick our exit sketch, and we'll come back to this position. We're going to drag this down now, which will put back in our center hub, and again drag it down below our counterbore, so we've got all them back in place. Continue down. We're now going to drag it down below our pattern, and it'll pattern the 3 again for us. Now at this point I'm going to stop, and I'm going to shell these 3 faces here. So go to the shell tool. I'm going to set my shell here to 3 rather than 10, and then click the top 3 faces here. I'm going to show a preview so you can see what it's after, and you can see there how it's creating them 3 shapes. Tick at the top, and it's created them cutouts. So with this then, now what we're left with is creating the angles in these corners here. So I can drop it down. The fillet here is no longer be any use to me, so I'm going to delete that fillet, and I'm going to add in a new fillet at this point. So I'm going to go to fillet here, and I am going to go to a face fillet, and in one box I'm going to select one face, and in the other box the face I want it to fillet to, which is here. Okay, now if I come down, I want to change my fillet radius to 30 rather than 22, and you can see now how it's going to create a link between them 2 faces. Move around the side, hit enter again, which will bring the fillet tool back up. Click one side, click the other side. Now this is the only position sometimes you find it has a problem, and we'll see if it's going to do it or not. We've got 2 sides, we want to create this final side as well, so let's give it one more go. So I want this face here, and this face here. Now it's not giving me a preview, so I'm imagining it's not going to work. Okay, it's not. And now if you have the same issue, I'm going to show you how you can get around this. So we're going to exit that fillet, and on the top plane here I'm going to create a sketch. View from above, and I'm going to create a circle in here like so. I'm going to take one edge and make it a tangent to that side, and take the other edge and make it a tangent to this side. Okay, then what I want to do is this radius is 30, so I'm going to set the size of this circle to 60 diameter, and you'll see now we've got exactly the same radius in here as we would have here. Taking these sides, I'm going to convert the entities in these sides, and in that circle there. And then I'm going to extrude that contour in there. So to features, extrude, select that inner contour there, and I'm going to extrude it up to a surface. And now if we remember right back at the beginning, we created that surface that rotates around. I'm going to extrude it up to that surface like so. Tick, and it will blend in with the rest, just creating that final fillet just in case you have that same issue. Okay, now once we've got them in place, what we want to do is we want to add our final fillets in. So if we go to fillet tool here, I'm going to go to a single fillet there, and what I'm going to fillet is this shell here. So I can click the shell to fillet, tick at the top, and it'll fillet. Close. Okay, it's not playing along. Oh, it's because of my size of my fillet here. I want to go to 1 mil and fillet that there. And like so, we've got that fillet in place. I'm just going to turn that fillet to red and our appearance so we can see what it's created a bit easier. Like so. Now you'll see on the top face here we've got a fillet around this top edge of the circle. We don't want that in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete that face off. So in my commands at the top, I'm just going to type delete. And you'll see the delete face tool here. Click on that. And then the face in this top of my circle here, highlight that, click, and it'll delete that fillet off, leaving me with the corner that I want. Final part of this, just drop that bar down to the last section, which is this outer radius here, and it'll include that fillet back on around the outside edge. Okay, so that's the modelling done. Now the last bit of this is to run a simulation. It's just throwing up an error in the fillet before I do move on to that simulation. If we just pop in there, so as we pop into that fillet, edit it, it's just missing an edge, but it's still allowing me to do the whole fillet, so I'm just going to delete that missing edge off, and it won't throw up an error anymore. Okay, so let's move into the simulation now. So the simulation is going to require us to fix these 3 points and then apply a force through the center here. So let's have a go. So in the simulation tool, I'm going to do a new study. I'm after a static simulation, so tick there. I've got my material already applied. I do need to apply a fixture, so I'm going to do a fixed geometry, and it's going to be on each of these faces at the bottom of our counterbores. Like so. Okay. Now we've got them in place, I'm just going to tick at the side, and I'm finally going to add in my force. Right click on the external load here, I'm going to apply a force. Now my force is going to go through the inside center of this. I'm going to click in there. I want to select the direction. Now anything that moves up in the same direction of which I want the force to go, so an inside line for instance, or a top face, it doesn't matter which direction I select. And then if I'm going to do the top face, I can do that, and then I just pick the bottom option here and set that to 2000 newtons. Tick there, and you'll see now my force is moving up in the right direction, and I'm fixed on each of them counterbores. Now you will remember back at the beginning of the model we created a surface. Now within a simulation we cannot simulate a surface, so we are just going to have to right click on that surface in our models here, parts, and I'm just going to exclude that surface from the analysis there, so it won't throw up any errors. Now that we're into that, I'm going to go to mesh, I'm going to run, mesh and run. It'll just take a second and we'll get an output set of results from this. Now the model itself is actually asking us to work out the factor of safety, so when it's run the simulation we can just quickly find the factor of safety for this model. So at the moment we're getting stress, displacement and strain. If I just click on results here, right click on them, I can find the factor of safety plot as well. Tick that, I'm happy to work that out, and I'm getting 3.2 for this model. So somewhere around the 3 region is what we want for this model for its factor of safety. Okay, so that was running the full process for the Model Mania 2020. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope that's taught you something new. If you like the video, please give us a big thumbs up for the content, and if you're watching and you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.